Alex Becker has been hyper bullish. You guys should know this. If you follow him on Twitter, he said nothing but alt season, alt season, alt season all year. But looking at crypto bubbles over here, this doesn't look like alt season. Have a look at this in the last month. We've had most of these tokens down 30%. And if you're getting into smaller and smaller market caps, they could be even down 50, 60, 70, 80, some cases even 90%. And this is because Alex Becker missed one critical detail when he made his thesis. And in this video, we're going to explore that detail in detail together because it is the missing piece that once it switches, everything else is going to fall into place. And very possibly what Alex Becker has been dreaming of is just being delayed and not fully over. We're going to explore that together in this video. Before we jump in, very quickly, this video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. Modern financial instruments, including crypto, are highly volatile and the majority of retail clients will lose money. Do not invest any capital you're not prepared to go to zero. Now, even Alex Becker himself says, real talk, I'm sick of waiting for alt season 2. All over my timeline, everyone is sick and tired of waiting, sick and tired of being like, oh, but there was just one detail we missed and now we've got another couple of months to wait, and then that comes around, people lose more money, and then, oh my god, no wait, there's 2 more months, guys, promise. Alex Becker is also sick of the same nonsense. He says, about fed up being patient, and newbie Becker would have already clocked out. And a lot of people are not only getting emotionally and mentally checked out of the market, but financially too. People are bleeding to zero. You had that massive liquidity drop all in one day that got rid of $19 billion of people waiting for bull season to arrive. But Becker says, this is how they get you. And this is why so few will catch this. And this is what someone like Murad says, you can't have everyone ready and waiting for bull season because that will make bull season really short and end really quickly because as soon as things 5x, everyone's made the money they need to make and they get out and they go spend it somewhere else and crash the market. Bull season needs as few people ready for it as possible for it to have a sustained run. Alex Becker says it's going to happen when you've lost nearly all interest. And that's a big one that I'm learning too. I saw this in the 2021 market and I'm seeing it again now. Down prices will keep people around more than sideways prices. When you lose people's interest, it's basically when crypto goes sideways for months at a time. Becker says continue to stay locked in at all costs of the war of attrition, as I spoke about yesterday. But behind this, and if you can stay locked in, Alex Becker believes you are not about to see an alt season like in the other bull markets. They were funded by broke peasants with limited potential. Alex Becker thinks that you're about to see a country, corporation, banking, and billionaire and institution alt season, which will be way bigger. And in fact, he tweeted this out today. He says, the quality of alts you're able to get right now at bargain bin prices is absurd, which is why they're so bargain bin prices, because no one wants to buy right now. It's going to make those who are active and hunting right now very wealthy. Crypto is crap. It's not fun. It's not even inspiring to be here. Times like this is when you make your best buy. Alex Becker believes. In fact, he says there's so many new off-the-radar AI coins. We're going to talk about niches that Alex Becker thinks are going to do extremely well in this video as well. And he says they're at this sort of range market cap. But very soon they will be at this sort of range of a market cap in just a few months. He wrote, you should be panic buying. But the question and timing on everyone's mind is, wasn't September the time that this was supposed to be going parabolic? Well, there are 4 alt season indicators that Alex Becker needs in order for his thesis to be right. And at the moment, we sort of have about 1 out of the 4. But I'm going to break down exactly these 4 with you today because then you and I will be able to predict with much stronger certainty when these are going to click into place, when these are going to be all set to high, and that is when the liquidity flows and Becker's dreams come true. Now, the first let's talk about is liquidity. And this is the most important factor of all. And honestly, I believe this factor is the one that Alex Becker misread, but not only Alex Becker, literally 95% of people. The only people who I know got it right is basically Raoul and Jesse Eckel. And that's because a lot of people think that the halving, the Bitcoin halving is what starts alt seasons, because you can see these green lines here are every time Bitcoin does its halving. Back here, it was at $12, and by the end of it, it was at $90, and actually the end of it, it was into the hundreds, almost $1,000 $6,000 US. Again, the halving every 4 years happened at 666, and it went on to do that 17,000 peak in 2017. You can see basically the bottom was timed with the halving, and again recently in 2021 from 9 grand, basically the low was the exact halving all the way up to a $60,000 Bitcoin. Now, people thought this here would do it again, the 4-year cycle based on the halving. However, Raoul and Jesse Eckel are putting forward the thesis that looks pretty convincing to me, and it can all be explained in this one graph right here. Specifically, these massive green waves and pyramid, because this is the M2 growth year over year. This is the money supply, and you can see the crazy amount of money printing that happened specifically in the US over COVID, and you can see that correlated with the Bitcoin high price almost exactly. You can see the 4-year cycle back here in 2017 basically correlated with the top of the money printing and quantitative easing, and it happened once again in 2013, basically perfectly timed. However, thanks to a few factors, which we're not going to go into this video, the money printer has not been turned on specifically in the US yet. But literally last month, things have started to switch, and we're going from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing. And Merlin the trader says Bitcoin is lagging behind global liquidity and gold. He says the M2 is surging, gold is ripping, and Bitcoin is still sleeping. This divergence never lasts. Liquidity always finds the risk because it needs to, because more money is going to be printed to dilute the liquidity that's already out there. So it needs to find assets that can go up faster than the money printer can be turned on. The catch up will be brutal. You can see right here, this is where Bitcoin is at the moment. You can see gold's had its run, and Merlin the trader and a lot of top macro analysts I'm expecting Bitcoin to follow this shape graph. And if you want to dive deeper, we won't go into this video, but Raoul talks about it in his Everything Code. You can go follow him on Twitter. He's basically one of the best crypto analysts, but he talks about how the US liquidity index and the global total market cap, excluding Bitcoin, basically tracks each other 1-to-1. However, this year, there was an extension of debt. So the debt that the US owed, it has been extended 1 extra year to 5 years, which is why the 4-year cycle is over, according to Raoul. And you can see the interest payment on those debts are going to rise, and therefore the liquidity and the money printing is going to be needed turned on, which means altcoins are likely to continue to follow it. That is the first fact. You need liquidity specifically in the US to be turned on before you even consider alt season. I mean, Bitcoin needs to go up first, and then it goes down the alts into the micro cap alt season. The second thing that we need to be maxing out is the market sentiment. And I've got some personally unique views on this, but first let's talk about Crypto God John. He says the trenches / crypto / alts need $100 million banger. A token that gets to $100 million market cap is needed. Why? Because people need something to believe in again. They need to see that there is opportunity still in the market. They need stronger market sentiment. This is the fear and greed index on CoinGlass, where they put fear in green because historically that's been the best time to buy. If you measure the price of Bitcoin on this graph, anytime it's been in the green, which it currently is, has been over the long term an excellent buying opportunity. And then when things get too greedy, this is when cycles seem to top out. However, my unique perspective on this, having not only been in the crypto industry for about 3 to 4 years publicly here on YouTube, but also personally investing myself, the market results and the sentiment have a little bit of a lag to it. Back in January right here of 2024, this is basically when the market topped, and you can see fear and greed fell off a cliff. However, tokens that we were talking about, we have a inner circle where we find tokens way before everyone else, way before their public information, so that we can get in when the influencers get in. It's called the inner circle. Links in the description below. We were talking about Reploy, which was an influencer token, which we're going to talk about the power of influencers in a strong market in just a second. We're talking about it down here. Crypto God John got in. Becker was rumored to get in. And we've been talking about it, and we were accumulating it in this zone right here, right before it went parabolic. However, my personal anecdotes is I can tell how strong a market sentiment it is by how many people are signing up to our inner circle. And sadly, most people are signing up to our inner circle at the market top. This is when peak euphoria is. This is when people cannot see it going backwards. Sadly, before we see these crazy gains, this is when the least amount of people are actually signing up to our inner circle. And on the day that this peaked, we had a maximum number of people, over 100 people sign up to our inner circle, and all through this downward period, there were way more people coming into our inner circle on this down than there was before the up. And that is because people will remember that we just had a massive up, and sentiment will be higher. Even if the fear and greed index says it's lower, people remember what's possible and they'll think everything will be the next runner, even if we are heading into a down cycle. And so as Crypto God John says, he says we need a $100 million banger just so people can get that hope and that optimism back. Which takes us to the third indicator that we need for Alex Becker's alt season to really pay off, which is the trends. Now, a lot of people don't realize is that all crypto won't run. In fact, most of crypto, because there's 17 million coins, will not run in this alt season. However, certain categories are going to be the hot trend and they're going to outpace the rest of the market by a long shot. You may have memes, you may have real world assets, you may have dog theme coins, infrastructure, bridge tokens. Privacy is a big narrative at the moment. You can see up 76% in just 7 days while everything else is down. And historically, we've seen niches run like this. This was the DeFi niche with PancakeSwap, which absolutely soared. We saw gaming run. This is Axie Infinity, which is the blue chip in gaming. We saw Metaverse run, which was Sandbox and Decentraland, as Facebook changed their name to Meta. That was the hot topic and hot trend and hot category of the time. We saw AI have a brief moment in the limelight early last year, even though the liquidity wasn't there, they still had the ability to run. And Alex Becker's latest thesis is that these four categories will move. I mean, these four categories will move first, and then two categories will move after it. He says privacy category, which is moving right now, AI, real world assets, and robotics coins are going to move first once the liquidity and sentiment is there. Then gaming and memes will move last, but just as violently, because when the liquidity and sentiment's here and we are in a bull market, what happens is different categories are going to move at different times. 1 month it may be privacy, and then next month it may be something like memes. This is at least what's happened historically. But this is where people get confused. You can't just invest, or you can invest in an overall trend. However, people don't understand how individual coins within those trends become the market leaders. Why is Axie Infinity the #1 gaming coin for that run? Why was PancakeSwap one of the top DeFi tokens in the DeFi run? And why was Sandbox the #1 metaverse token in the metaverse meta? Well, this is where this theory that applies outside crypto, but it's on steroids in crypto, is it doesn't matter about the fundamentals and the technicals of a crypto project. What matters is what influencers are pushing it. An influencer can apply to everyone. Everyone from Donald Trump, who launched his token and influenced $75 billion of liquidity to flow into it, or someone like Crypto God John, who has a strong crypto influencer who can have $100 million flow into a new token that he's partnering with in the right market sentiment. However you discover a crypto, it's likely going to be through someone else. No one's really browsing thousands of tokens and being like, oh, this one looks interesting, let me research it, let me make my own decision. No, they're going to Twitter, they're going to Discord, they're going to Telegram groups, and they're finding what other people's theses are, and they're getting into those tokens. And the more followers and better track record that these influencers have, the higher those tokens can go. You saw in the gaming run where Axie Infinity by far led the charge, something like Altura, which was an Alex Becker token, was a late runner. If we compare Altura to Axie at a one-to-one graph, you can see that Axie Infinity ran literally months before it. But once the gaming narrative was hot, and then a big influencer named Alex Becker got behind this token, that is when the liquidity flowed into that next token. And you can see this with Elon Musk. Elon Musk back in 2022 talked about Dogecoin, and you can see in a low market sentiment, with the market sentiment, the fear and greed index was actually 20, which is pretty damn low. You can see it only had a tiny little bump in the graph. However, Elon Musk talking about Doge when market sentiment was high, which was April 15th, 2021, you can see this is the catalyst that led to one of the craziest runs in all of meme coin crypto history. And now, even though the market is slow, there are some new coins out there that influencers are liking and getting behind, and they are having a little bit of a pop off, but nothing compared to things if the market really heats up. This is Crypto God John, and he's one of the only people out there still finding new tokens right now. Because honestly, if we're being real with one another, market sentiment probably hasn't been lower in such a long time because people are so convinced that the 4-year cycle is over and we are heading straight on down. Not many people yet believe that the 5-year cycle is here and the liquidity is coming in that 5th year. And Mariah believes once people finally let go of the 4-year cycle theory, that's when the market will be able to breathe and actually have new life to it and spring to all-time highs. But Crypto God John is still in the trenches, still making partnerships and still finding new tokens. He says he's been accumulating Ghost, which is in the privacy narrative, which is right now the #1 narrative where crypto innovation has not yet fully developed. It is a privacy coin on Solana. He's also commented on this new token, who we're also partnered with here, called CyberLife Studios. CyberLife is now an IBM partner. We're integrating IBM's large language models into our game engine to make building games with AI effortless. They're actually doing some pretty cool stuff. This partnership opens the door to co-marketing, co-selling, and the future of AI-powered game creation together with IBM. Crypto God John here on October 28th, it only had 3,600 views, said more life, which is obviously the name of a Drake album, but also life is the name of the token of CyberLife Studio, who give people the ability to leverage AI to turn prompts into playable games. Build 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional worlds, launch them on-chain is pretty interesting, and earn life token. CyberLife is where AI meets gaming, and you can see on their website, you can spin up fully playable on-chain games with a single prompt, and you can create a 2D Flappy Bird game, a 2D space shooter game, or a 3D racing game, or whatever games you can dream of. They're trying to be basically like Shopify allowed everyone to create an e-commerce site. CyberLife is trying to empower everyone to be a game developer, even if you don't know how to code. Now, on this tweet that I read to you earlier, where Becker says that you can get alts at bargain bin prices because market sentiment is low right now, Physics asks the question that a lot of people are thinking, because we track a lot of influence here and we track their portfolios. We know that Alex Becker now has 78, actually 79. There's a new token which we'll update you with soon, tokens in his portfolio. And we've graded them against each other and to basically weed out the ones that we think he's never going to promote or that won't do as well. But Physics says, do you still believe in the coins you called last year? Or is all liquidity, once it comes in, going to go to the new and upcoming coins? Becker responded saying, I believe that alts are going to rage, which is a strong term right here, rage. He didn't say they're going to slightly go up. He says they're going to rage after ETH's next leg up, which he thinks ETH's next leg up, despite saying 4,800 in the past, he believes it's $6,000 per ETH is the next leg up. This includes good alts, which is a mixture of alts from last year and the new good alts. I'm in a very wide range of good alts. Indeed, he is. He's got 76 alts, and we'll be sure to update you of any new altcoins that he is adding. If you're in our inner circle, you get that access the moment he adds it. Or if you follow us here on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get it exactly when we update you here.